everyone, welcome to Daily Dictation. This is an interactive video to help you practice your English skills. You will do this by listening to 5 sentences, which I will read. These sentences are all about the topic, winter fun, at a high intermediate level. As I read each sentence, you will write down each sentence to the best of your ability by doing your best to apply the correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation. After we finish, I will show you what all of the sentences look like when they are correctly written. Then you will compare your answers. I will discuss some important things to know about the grammar and any spelling tips and tricks that can help you learn your English skills. Let's get started. This is a skill that is best developed if you practice every day. So there are new sentences each weekday, new topics each week, and 2 English levels offered to help you practice your English skills. The instructions for this activity. You will need a blank piece of paper and a pencil or a blank document that you can type into. 5 sentences will be read. Each sentence will be read 3 times and 1 more time at the end. You have to write down each sentence exactly as you hear it, and you will use your listening skills to do this. Try your best to apply the correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. On the screen, you're going to see numbers 1 to 5. Each number represents a different sentence that will be read. I'm going to start with sentence number 1. Number 1. The sleigh tipped over when it hit a snowdrift. The sleigh tipped over when it hit a snowdrift. The sleigh tipped over when it hit a snowdrift. Number 2. Although the wind chill was dangerous, they continued hiking and risked frostbite. Although the wind chill was dangerous, they continued hiking and risked frostbite. Although the wind chill was dangerous, they continued hiking and risked the frostbite. Number 3. Since the snowpack was unstable, the team avoided areas prone to an avalanche. Since the snowpack was unstable, the team avoided areas prone to an avalanche. Since the snowpack was unstable, the team avoided areas prone to an avalanche. Number 4. As the slush melted on the sidewalk, long icicles began to drip from the roof. As the slush melted on the sidewalk, long icicles began to drip from the roof. As the slush melted on the sidewalk, long icicles began to drip from the roof. Number 5. When there are sub-zero temperatures, some animals start to hibernate. When there are sub-zero temperatures, some animals start to hibernate. When there are sub-zero temperatures, some animals start to hibernate. Now I will read each sentence one more time, starting with sentence number 1. The sleigh tipped over when it hit a snowdrift. Although the wind chill was dangerous, they continued hiking and risked frostbite. Since the snowpack was unstable, the team avoided areas prone to an avalanche. As the slush melted on the sidewalk, long icicles began to drip from the roof. When there are sub-zero temperatures, some animals start to hibernate. All right, now let's have a look at our sentences. Now, if you found that this video is a little bit too fast, you can listen again and adjust the playback speed in the settings of the video. If you need to listen to specific sentences again, just check the description for timestamps, and this will help you listen to specific sentence numbers again. We're going to go through our answers, what everything should look like when it is correctly written. Number 1, the sleigh tipped over when it hit a snowdrift. So a sleigh is something that is pulled usually by reindeer, or at a smaller scale, it could be pulled by other people or by dogs. And this is how you spell it, Sleigh. So it's really tricky. So I would recommend doing is splitting up these smaller parts here, sleigh, because it's tricky in two ways. First, it's the vowels and the order of the vowels. Some people will forget and only add E or only add I. And then also this end is kind of tricky. The beginning is pretty easy because it's exactly how it sounds, but everything else here is not exactly how it sounds. Tipped over. It should be all right. We do have a conjunction here because we have a dependent clause and then we have an independent clause. So independent clause, dependent clause, which we've seen before. And we have independent clause first, independent clause second, then that means that we don't need a comma when the clause is finished. However, if it was the other way around, then we would need a comma, and we're going to see that in our future sentences. So if you didn't add a comma in your future sentences, it might be a good idea to have a second look and think about where they should go. Snowdrift is another tricky word here. Snowdrift sounds like two words, but it is one thing, so it is one word. Snowdrift. Now, here is what we're talking about with the order of clauses, what the clauses are. So we're seeing that we're starting with a conjunction here. This is a subordinating conjunction, although, which means that here we have our dependent clause first. Then we have our independent clause second. An independent clause is a clause that can stand by itself. It doesn't need any other information. So if we didn't have this, this could be a sentence by itself just fine. This, on the other hand, could not. And what kind of signals us even more, rather than looking at, oh, can the sentence stand by itself? Just look in the middle of the sentence. We can see that there's a subject and a verb right in the middle of the sentence here, and then a gerund here. Hiking is a gerund in this case. So they continued hiking. And here we have an SV structure right in the middle of the sentence. So that tells us that this is an independent structure. Wind chill might have been a tricky word. Wind chill, first of all, it's tricky because when we say it quickly, you don't hear the D. So if you were going only on what you can hear, you might have missed the D and said wind chill. However, it is wind chill because it is how the wind makes the air colder or chillier. So that's where that word comes from, and it is one compound noun. Same thing with frostbite. It's another compound noun. Frostbite, again, we say it very fast. So because we say it so fast, you might not hear this T. So you might have said frostbite without the T in it because that's how it sounds. But it comes from the pain, kind of like a bite, the pain that you get from the extreme cold. And it actually is a really serious condition if you live in a cold country or you're new to living in a cold country. I live here in Canada. It can get super cold here. We're talking minus 20, minus 30, minus 40 degrees Celsius, where it could permanently hurt your skin, and sometimes it even requires surgery. So it is quite serious. But besides that, it's important for you to know it's one condition, so it's one word. It's a compound noun. Number three, again, we're seeing very similar structure to up here. Since the snowpack was unstable, the team avoided areas prone to an avalanche. So you do have a few tricky words in here as well. We're starting with a subordinating conjunction, which means what? That this is going to be a dependent clause. And our dependent clause is first, which is why we need a comma at the end of this. Then to verify that we do have an independent clause here, this is our independent clause. And we know this because we have our subject. We have our verb, the SV structure. We have our object. And it gives us more information. What kind of areas prone to an avalanche? Prone means that a certain place is more likely to have an accident or have something happen to it, kind of like a magnet in a way. And then avalanche is when lots of snow comes tumbling down a mountainside and it's pretty dangerous. So the spelling here is quite tricky as well. Avalanche, avalanche. Don't forget this E because you might not have heard it. In most of our English words, we do have a hard CH at the end of words, like watch, for example, avalanche. You don't hear this E. However, there still is an E there at the end, so that's something worth noting if you didn't get it correct. Snowpack, similar to snowdrift, it is a compound noun. So even though you have the word snow plus another word pack, one thing together talks about how dense the snow is in a certain area, usually in the mountains. So it is one thing, it is one word. Number four, as the slush melted on the sidewalk, long icicles began to drip from the roof. Now, overall, the spelling of most of the words in this sentence should not be super hard. We do have a subordinated conjunction here again, showing that we do have a dependent clause here. So you have a dependent clause here. We do need a comma. Long icicles began to drip from the roof. So this is our subject. We just have an adjective here, but this is still the subject, still the verb, our infinitive, and then preposition from the roof. So we still have that SV structure right in the middle of the sentence, signaling that this is our independent clause. And this is our dependent clause. Sidewalk, again, is one word. However, you should be more familiar with this word than, say, snowpack, wind chill, snowdrift, or frostbite. Sidewalk is a more common word that we use. So make sure that you have that as one word. Slush is really, really wet snow. It's not exactly liquid, but it's not fluffy snow either. It's really dirty. It's really wet, really messy. If it snows in an area, there's a lot of cars that drive over the snow, and it gets really wet and becomes almost like a puddle with some ice in it. That's slush. Icicles is another hard word. Icicles. So this is tricky. Split it into two parts like this. Ice, because this makes a long I, this makes a short I, and with the E here, this makes an S sound. However, this C follows with an L, so it's going to make the K sound, not the S sound. Icicles, like that. And again, don't forget that E. Number 5. When there are sub-zero temperatures, which means that temperatures that are zero and below, can be far below, temperatures, some animals start to hibernate. Hibernate is when some kind of animal sleeps for an extended period of time to save its energy. And then again, for the structure of the sentence, just like 2, 3, 4, and now this one as well, we're starting with another subordinating conjunction, signaling that this is a dependent clause. At the end of the clause, we do need a comma, and we have some animals, which is our subject, start, verb, and then we have an infinitive here. Sub-zero, one word. Sub-zero, exactly how it sounds if you know how to spell those two words. Temperatures could have been a little bit more tricky for you. Temp, at, chers, or ers at the end. That's how I break it down, and I've always broken it down like that. Temperatures when I'm spelling, so I'm not forgetting any of the vowels. And then hibernate actually sounds exactly as it's written here. So just sound that one out. Hibernate. You can split it up into 3 smaller bits if that makes it easier. These bold words, sleigh, snowdrift, wind chill, frostbite, snowpack, avalanche, and so on, are the words that we're going to be focusing on this week, all related to winter and winter fun. I'll show you a better list of those words. So again, we have slush, frostbite, avalanche, snowpack, hibernate, wind chill, sub-zero, sleigh, icicles, snowdrift. So those are the words that we're going to be studying this week. If you had an issue with those words and want to practice more, there'll be new videos posted every day up until the end of the week. So thank you so much for watching. That's everything for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.